Hi, this is Andy Hoffman of CryptoGoldCentral.com and the World Crypto Network. It's Thursday morning, March 22nd, and yet again, I feel compelled to ground frazzled Bitcoin investors with the reality of the perfect positive storm of the best fundamentals since its inception and most attractive valuation. And conversely, to warn altcoin investors that while the road ahead has potential, the odds of failure are at least as strong, in many cases, catastrophically so. First off, I want to guide you to the one-on-one podcast I did yesterday with JW Weatherman on the WCN regarding a slew of cryptocurrency-related topics that will unquestionably provoke thought. In terms of Bitcoin's ramifications on the political, economic, and social world order, JW is a very deep thinker to the point of extremism. However, he unquestionably understands the most important concept of all, to you, I, and everyone else, which is that, as he puts it, Bitcoin is an open sourced mission to create sound money, which, when it is inevitably adopted, will bring positive change to the world and incalculable riches to early adopters. JW clearly takes Bitcoin maximalism to the extreme in deeming all altcoins scams and frauds, which is essentially the one area I disagree with him. In my view, competition is a good thing, as it inspires innovation, weeds out the weak, and strengthens the franchise of those with the best attributes. To that end, I would disagree with scam and fraud being universally applied, as there's a huge difference between a .com like money grab, which investors buy at their own risk, and outright attempts to steal or defraud, which can range from BitConnect's pyramid scheme to Bcash's attempts to trick investors into believing they are Bitcoin. Moreover, I also disagree that the mere presence of altcoins undermines Bitcoin's valuation or pace of adoption. And given my view that trillions, and more likely tens of trillions, of capital will migrate from legacy assets like fiat currencies, stocks, and bonds to crypto, there's more than enough room for Bitcoin to grow exponentially alongside the handful of altcoins Darwinian enough to build strong, unsubsumable use cases. Furthermore, few altcoins are even attempting to be better Bitcoin, but instead plain old investment securities, albeit highly speculative, completely unregulated ones. Thus, while Bcash purports to be the real Bitcoin, or Monero V the real Monero, nearly all the rest are simply trying to create products they believe people will want to invest in. Some actually are pumping up schemes, some are not intended to be, but become so when the founders realize no one wants them, and some actually can withstand the test of time, although as yet few have done so. Then again, the test of time in crypto has not yet been administered, given that the average altcoin is no more than a year old, and the crypto sector in general in its very, very early stages of adoption. To that end, this is why Bitcoin maximalism is, from an investment perspective, the wisest course of action. As aside from having infinite upside potential, an attribute only a handful of assets have had in thousands of years of human history, Bitcoin is far safer to invest in, to the point that on a risk-adjusted basis, Bitcoin is so much more attractive than altcoins, there is no comparison. Frankly, if an alien with no knowledge of cryptocurrency were shown the projected risk-reward profiles of Bitcoin and altcoins, it would probably be incredulous that anyone would risk significant capital in the latter. To that end, I haven't even mentioned crypto dividends, whose demand will ebb and flow with cyclical conditions, but will unquestionably be a significant aspect of Bitcoin's value proposition from an investment standpoint, whilst conversely are unlikely to ever yield material returns to altcoin investors. As for the current cryptocurrency environment, like it or not, we're in a bear market, as discussed at length in my last crypto audio blog last Wednesday. As much as we'd like to believe otherwise, the odds that the sector could shake off perhaps the biggest blow off top of our lifetimes in a matter of weeks, in the case of altcoins based on false premises of a new paradigm in which hundreds of cryptocurrencies can peacefully coexist, were as close to zero as you'll get. In fact, I very strongly believe that most altcoins will never recover, with the vast majority actually going to zero. Conversely, I view Bitcoin's bear market as the normal, healthy reaction to a parabolic move higher, which, as exciting as it was, clearly took it to heavily overbought territory, both technically and sentiment-wise. And given how many people lost money in typical human nature manner by buying at the highs and selling at the lows, it's going to take some time for a new wave of investors to gain enough confidence to enter en masse. That said, the giant pink elephant in the room is that, like the internet in 2000, Bitcoin's security, adoption, technological innovation, and use case have never been stronger, even as the derivative investments underlying it are in sharp decline. In large part because the vast majority of said investments have absolutely no investment merit, but instead we're merely leeching off of Bitcoin's success in an attempt to draw uninformed and overzealous investors, as opposed to Bitcoin, who, in J.W. Weatherman's words, is plain and simple, as said before, an open source mission to create secure money, which unquestionably it has thus far succeeded in doing. As for the news, I cannot emphasize enough that nearly all of it is noise, particularly regarding the only true cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, which not only is rapidly growing in all aspects of its being, but could not be less correlated to legacy financial markets if it tried. To that end, at this point, there's not a single news item to fear, in my view, as nothing will stop Bitcoin from growing, and nothing any person, institution, or government says or does matters. However, in bear market trends, as we are unquestionably amidst today, nearly all news is spun bearishly, in many cases simply serving as a catalyst to sell, even if it's not actually news. Like, for instance, today's news, which I say in quotes, which suddenly caused crypto prices to plunge at roughly 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, that Binance is under regulatory scrutiny for operating in Japan without a license. For one, to believe Bitcoin demand will suddenly plunge as a result is ludicrous. Even more so as a result of a regulatory crackdown in the most pro-Bitcoin nation on the planet, whose central bank chief 3 days ago said cryptocurrencies could be a plus for the financial system. More importantly, it didn't take long for the story to be refuted, as Binance's CEO denied it had received any mandates from Japan's financial services agency, describing the report as irresponsible journalism. In his words, we are in constructive dialogues with Japan FSA and have not received any mandates. It does not make sense for JFSA to tell a newspaper before telling us while we were having an active dialogue going on with them. But again, in a bear market trend, jittery traders are far more likely to embrace such items as negative catalysts, which is why for Bitcoin, which ultimately cannot care less about such news, it should be hodled. And conversely, why significant investment decisions need to be made about altcoins, which not only are fighting an ugly trend against fiat currencies, but Bitcoin as well. Not to mention the emperor has no clothes aspect of 95% of their existences, as opposed to the emperor's closet is full fundamentals of Bitcoin. Frankly, the biggest news of the day in Bitcoin, from the perspective of someone who doesn't believe Bitcoin cares about nearly any news, is that Twitter and Square CEO Jack Dorsey, one of the true titans of the tech world, said, quote, "The world and the internet will ultimately have a single currency that I personally believe will be Bitcoin. This will happen probably over 10 years, but it could occur faster." That, my friends, tells the true story of Bitcoin's potential, as noticed by someone with as much of an ability to recognize it as you'll find. Thanks, and have a great crypto day.